Greetings, programs, and welcome back to the TV thing. This is the first one of these for a while, but although I have watched several things in the interval since the last one, there's not been any that I've really wanted to talk about, bar one. Well, actually, technically bar two. There's Homeland, which I've been in the process of watching for absolutely ages, and I will cover at some point, but they've actually just added another season of that to Netflix. And then there's a series of unfortunate events, and I'll say right now, that one's worth watching, but I want to see more of it. There is more of it on the way, but I'd like to have a look at the next season before I really start to talk about it. But the first season that's there is very entertaining. It's based off, I think, the first 4 books of the Lemony Snicket series, and it's got quite a delightful aesthetic going on, so yeah, I do recommend that one. What we are going to talk about today, however, is Mars, which is a 2016 series actually produced by National Geographic, of all companies. That slightly surprised me, but it maybe isn't that surprising because it's listed as a docudrama on Wikipedia, but that doesn't quite fit because docudrama kind of implies that it's a somewhat fictionalized account of an actual thing that's happened, but that's not what Mars is. What Mars is about is a look at, it's supposed to be a realistic look at how the early stages of human colonization on Mars might actually look. So it's not even like this is the first manned mission to Mars or something like that. No, it's the first planned colonization mission to Mars. And the format of the series itself, well, it's kind of split between the drama/fiction segments and then some sort of documentary-style segments set in the present day. And they've got interviews with various people, including Elon Musk, but not just him. They've got a whole bunch of, people from the Planetary Society, people from NASA, people from other organizations. And also they have a guy called Stephen Petranek, who wrote a book called How We'll Live on Mars, which is what inspired the series, what it's kind of based off of. So it's not really a docudrama. Is a dramamentary a thing? I don't know. I think we should call it that. I mean, you could call it a docudrama, but it doesn't quite fit in my eyes. So the story is basically it's 2037, at least 2033 rather, for the first couple of episodes. It jumps to 2037 for the latter set. There's only 6 episodes in total of the first series. Apparently it's been commissioned for a second one, so I don't know when that'll appear, but anyway, so you basically follow the initial crew to land down on Mars, and there's various dramatic things that happen along the way because hey, it's a long way away, and I mean, it's TV, you need a bit of drama, but it's also, it's things that could happen. We're not talking completely wacky, silly scenarios that you get in films and TV sometimes. No, it's very firmly grounded in reality. It's almost, you could call it sci-fi, and it kind of is sci-fi just because, hey, it's set in the future and it's, to do with space flight to some other place, but it's not sci-fi in the sense of making anything up. It's sci-fi that is very, very firmly based on actual technologies and actual things that we think we can go and do, and the things that we think will be the problems with setting up shop on Mars. Essentially, that's the point of the entire show, is to present in an accessible way what those challenges will be. And it's not just, of course, the technological challenges or the environmental challenges, but also the psychological challenges as well. And anybody that's ever read the Mars trilogy by Kim Stanley Robinson will know that that's a huge part of that book is the whole process of how do you pick people who are going to be moving to an entirely different planet, just spend the rest of their lives there potentially. And the show doesn't go into that side that much, but it does still go into, especially in one particular episode, the issues that could arise from the fact that, at least to start with, these people are all going to be cooped up in this tiny little base, and it's just going to be a very difficult environment to live in. it's going to be a very dangerous environment to live in, and how even small mistakes can have pretty big consequences. There's also a bit of politics going on as well, because one of the actors is actually playing two parts. You've got oh god, I can look up her name. It is Ji-hae Kim, and I probably said that wrong, who plays both Hannah Seung and Jun Seung, who one of them's an astronaut that's actually, you know, on the mission, and the other is her twin sister, who is back down on Earth and plays the role of Capcom, and eventually becomes head of the International Mars Science Foundation, which is kind of like the backing body of this particular effort to set up something on Mars. And there's also a kind of an Elon Musk style character as well, by the name of Ed Gran, who is one of the kind of the major people pushing to get this thing going. And, you know, he's presented as this visionary, but sometimes at the cost of pushing things a bit too quickly. So there are some dramatic moments, but it's very kind of sober drama. There's nothing that's particularly ridiculous or fantastical or anything like that. It's very, very grounded in reality, as I've said, and so therefore it's quite interesting. You know, it's not a big flashy drama, but it's an interesting drama, and it's interesting getting all the bits of information about, you know, why it would be difficult to live on Mars. Even, you know, if there's an atmosphere, but not much of one, and it's incredibly cold a lot of the time, and there's dust storms, and you know, there is some water there, but it's going to be hard to get to, and there's all other kinds of reasons as well. But yeah, it's just not a particularly hospitable place, and yet, you know, still more so than most of the other bodies that we could get to in the solar system, and it's obviously closer than most of the other bodies in the solar system that we could get to as well. But even so, it would take a while to get there. So yeah, I can recommend this one. If you have read Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy, this is probably the closest we're going to get to something that kind of feels like that. And, you know, I still hold out hope that someday we will get some kind of on-screen adaptation of the Mars trilogy. But for now, I think this is probably going to be as good as it gets. And it's very, you know, I don't know how the second season's going to develop. They've got most of the same cast back, but who knows? You know, there's certainly plenty more for them to lay out, to unfold as the colony starts to expand a bit, and they start to get more people living there, and they're starting to have to think more about resources and future expansion. So I don't know what the second season's going to be like, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. So yeah, it should be interesting. So that is Mars, the Discovery Channel's docudrama, or possibly dramamentary, which is currently on Netflix and probably other places as well. And as I say, yes, I can definitely recommend this if you have an interest in Mars the planet, or just colonization of other planets generally, or even just sci-fi that's a bit more grounded in reality and isn't too blue sky in its ideas, or red sky, I suppose, would be more appropriate given that we're talking about Mars, of course. So hopefully you have found this episode interesting, this recommendation useful. If you have, you can leave in the comments below, you can hit the like button, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.